Hello viewers, welcome back to my technology channel on YouTube GTech. Here is a very interesting video for almost everyone, like every household requires this, because I'm going to show you how to service, repair or even build an RO water filter yourselves at home. So it's a DIY project. So basically what I wish to say is, if you want to build an RO water filter, or if you want to service an RO water filter, almost every spare is available probably in the local shops itself, or definitely it is available online. Like if you are in India, on Amazon or Flipkart or any other marketing platforms, any other marketplaces. So you find almost all the spares. So with that and with a handful of tools, you can actually build a state-of-the-art RO filter, RO water filter at your home. So without wasting much time, let us directly go to how we can do it. Actually, I'm doing the annual service for a water filter at my parents' place. So I'm going to use this situation as a demo for you. So do watch till the end. It's going to be very interesting and informative. So now I'm here at my parents' place. So as you can see, I'm at the kitchen where we have the RO water filter. So this is the water filter for uh, which I'm going to take up for annual maintenance. That is, I'm going to change all the filters inside. So as you can see here, if you come here, so this is the external filter that we have for this machine. So external for this is a transparent. This is an external filter with a transparent casing. It's a sediment filter basically. So you can see the cartridge inside. So it's already become dirty. It's about 2 months, I think. Now, not even 2 months, probably 1.5 months. So when I replaced the cartridge, but still it has already become dirty. So just imagine all the other cartridges inside this RO machine. So most of them will have become almost ineffective now. But still it's working, but actually the output from the RO filter has reduced to a great extent. So that could be because the RO membrane itself might have got blocked. So what I'm going to do is, so first of all I'm going to drain this water filter. So that is, I'm going to remove all the water from the tank and then get it down, and then let's look into various cartridges. So I'm going to remove all the cartridges basically. So after that let's assemble the whole thing with new parts. So that's the project for today. So first couple of things that we need to do is, so first of all I need to shut down the water supply to the machine. That is the first thing. So for which actually, as you can see, I have a control here. So now I have turned off the water supply to the water filter. Okay. So next thing is, I'm going to disconnect the power supply. So I'm going to remove it, disconnect it from the mains. So it's very important. So be very careful while working with anything related to AC. So I have removed the power supply. So let me take the unit down, and then let us look into other things. So first things first. So I have removed the filter from the shelf. So I brought it down. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove the cover. So then once I remove the cover, I have access to all the cartridges inside. So I shall remove everything, and then let's replace all the cartridges and test it out. So let's start. So now I have removed the cover. So the cover actually is secured by a couple of screws on either sides. So I removed those, and now I have access to all the cartridges, as you can see. Okay. So as I've already told you, I have disconnected the water supply and also mains power supply to this. So very important. So be very careful while working with any electronic or electrical gadget. So any electrical gadget is always so much dangerous, it can even cause death. So first of all, follow all the proper safety measures, and also whenever you are working with any electrical or electronics gadget, make sure that you have an observer with you, someone else with you. So this is the mineral cartridge that was being used. So I remove that. This is the RO cartridge. So inside this we have the RO membrane. Okay, so I remove that. So obviously we are going to open that and put the new membrane. So this is the UV barrel. So here is the fused UV lamp. Okay. If needed, probably we need to change this also, I guess. Let's see. This is the internal sediment filter. Internal sediment filter, so removed. So here is the carbon filter. So removed. So usually we have two carbon filters. So one is called as the pre-carbon filter, so other one is called as post-carbon filter. But due to lack of space, I was using only one carbon filter. So now pretty much everything is removed. Okay. So now one more thing. Yeah. So here is one more filter. It's an UAF filter, ultrafiltration. So even we are going to replace even this. Okay, doesn't look much dirty, but still we are going to replace this. Now we are left with the motor, the power supply SMPS, 24 volts SMPS, and then we have a DC choke for the UV lamp. So we are going to replace this also. I have purchased a new choke because I was not satisfied with the DC UV choke that I have here. The life of the tube was not even coming for 3 months or so. So because of which I'm going to change the UV choke. Okay. So one other thing that we are going to do right now is we are going to test the motor also. Very important. So this would be a very interesting part. So let's do it now. So now here is how I'm testing the RO booster pump. Actually this particular pump is around 6 to 7 years old if I remember properly. So it has given enough life. So I want to replace it actually. Let's see, but let's see like whether it is still holding good. So for testing this, what I've done is, so I have a pressure gauge here. So this is not a good quality one, so just for testing purposes anyways. So I've connected a pressure gauge like this, like for example. So the input from the tap is going to the input of the motor now. So the output, what I have done is, it is going to the, you can see here. So output from the booster pump is going to the pressure gauge like this. Okay. So now I have a tap here. Okay. And a pipe connected to this. Okay. The reason for putting this tap is, for example, this pressure gauge can measure a maximum of 100 psi, but this booster pump is able to generate more pressure. In fact, it can generate up to 140 psi, I think. So it's very important to, like if I connect it without a tap, so what would happen is probably this would break. Okay. So now I am going to control the water pressure through this tap. So right now it is fully open, so which means when I switch on, the dial would not move. Like once I start tightening the tap, so probably I would get an idea about what is the amount of pressure that this particular booster pump is generating. So let me start with that. So to start, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to open the tap. So as you can see, water is already flowing because I am not connected a solenoid valve. So whatever water is coming from the tap is directly flowing here. Okay. So now as you can see, if I close this valve, okay, if I close this valve, it's showing around 30 psi. So even without a booster pump, I am getting a pressure of about 30 psi. Okay, you can see here. So now if I switch on the booster pump, let's see like how for this actually, once again I am going to open the valve. Okay, so then yeah, now the pump switched on, so it will be generating more pressure now. So slowly I am going to close the tap. You can observe now. So it's around 40 psi now. So you can see that variation. That is because of the booster pump itself. So it's generating a continuously varying pressure. So usually this pressure gauge actually is not alright. Usually we get an oil immersed version or a water immersed version of this to actually absorb that. So as you can see, so it's actually generating up to 100 psi without doubt, as you can see. Okay, so I'm not going to further tighten it. So now approximately I know that it is generating more than 100, which means this booster pump can still work for some more time. So I don't need to replace it at all. Okay. So now let us briefly look into like how the electrical wiring is done for RO filter. So now as you can see, here is the mains card. So it comes in through a hole at the back of the machine. So then, as we know, like actually we are not going to use the what do you call it, earth pin. So then, but we have the phase pin and the neutral pin. So from the, I'm extending the phase wire here to start with. like as you can see. So here is the extended phase wire here. So first this goes to a switch here, and this is called as a float switch. Basically this is sensitive to the water level in the reservoir. Okay, so when the water level in the reservoir goes low, this switch becomes on. It goes to an on state. So then when it goes to an on state, so it basically shorts the two pins. So which means this is in series. So which means power starts to flow further. So then next it comes to another switch called as pressure switch. So this pressure switch basically what it does is, whenever the water pressure goes below 10 psi, so it goes to off state. So that is because if there is no enough water pressure, the booster pump will not work properly, and also the RO membrane will not work properly. So for that reason, so only when there is enough water pressure, or when there is water only, so it will switch on. So once again this is connected in series. So that is done. So after this, power comes to SMPS. So the output of the SMPS is in this case 24 volts and 2.5 amperes. Okay. So power from the SMPS, first of all it goes to the booster pump. As you can see, two wires here. So polarity has to be taken care of. So plus has to be connected to plus and minus has to be connected to minus. Okay. So here, so two more wires here, as you can see. So it is connected to something called as a solenoid valve. Okay. So this solenoid valve, what it does is, it basically switches on and lets the water into the booster pump only when all the other things are fine. That is, the float switch is on, the pressure switch is on, and because of those two reasons SMPS is on. So when the SMPS is on, only then it lets water into the booster pump. So that way it controls the water supply to the filter itself. So if there is a faulty solenoid valve, what would happen is water would continuously flow out from the reject outlet of the RO casing or RO filter cartridge or whatever you call it. So that's how the fundamental wiring of an RO water filter is like. It's very, very simple. So one other thing is, of course, if you are using a UV filtration cartridge or barrel, so in that case even that has to be powered, because the UV lamp has to be powered. So for that there are two ways depending on the choke that we are using to power it. So first method is, certain chokes work directly with 230 volts or 110 volts if you are in countries like United States. So else it will directly work with mains. So and obviously it will have pins to connect to the UV lamp. So the other type is, so it works on DC. For example, the output of this 24 volts SMPS goes to the DC choke, and then from the DC choke once again it is connected to UV lamp. So that is another type of choke. So previously I had a DC choke, so now I was not happy with the performance of that, because as you can see here, the UV lamp used to get fused very often. So probably because of faulty UV choke. So I'm replacing it with a very high quality choke now. It's an 18 watt choke that I'm going to use now. So that is pretty much it with respect to the wiring. So very, very simple. So I will also share a picture of the circuit diagram, so you can look into it. So with this, let's start what do you call fixing the new cartridges. So actually I decided to change the pump, booster pump. So here is the new one, and actually I once again connected the pressure gauge and checked the pressure. So this is generating much better pressure compared to the old pump. So probably that had worn out a bit. So now what we will do is I will show you all the new cartridges and components that we are going to fit in. So and with that, one by one, let us fix the cartridges and see how it works. So step one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to insert the RO membrane into the RO membrane housing. So this is the housing. So actually once you buy this, probably you can use it for quite an amount of time. So right now what I'm going to do is this is the RO membrane that I have purchased. So the company is TFC, FSTFC. So I did some research and found that this membrane, with many people are happy with this membrane. So otherwise like what happens is usually commonly what do you call available membrane and most popular membranes, like if you ask me, so Filmtech is one, Vantron is the other one. So those two are very popular. So other than there is a membrane by name TPC. So even that is considered to be quite good. So Convoyo Neer is one other membrane which I have used. So even that works pretty well. So in my house actually it is working from past 1 year. So here is the membrane. Okay. So very important. So many a times what happens is, for example, whether it is Vantron or a Filmtech or a Filmtech, so what happens is there are a lot of counterfeit things in the market. So because of which you won't get proper life from them or even proper filtration from them. So very simple, see here. So this is the direction. So I insert it. So press it till it goes and locks at the other end. Okay. So then next thing is I have to put this. So before that, I think this is so very important to place the washer properly. Rubber O-ring or washer, whatever you call it. Okay, this is not related to this, I think. Okay, finished. So usually you get a spanner for this. So I will show you in a moment. So here is the spanner. Okay. So I can further tighten it like this, so that you will not have any leakage. So now this is done. Okay. So now we will also look into the other cartridges in a moment. So step one. So I have I inserted the sediment filter cartridge, as you can see here. Okay, so for that, see, this is the inlet. Okay, this is the inlet. So from inlet it goes to pressure switch. I've already shown you, but it is a bit hidden here. So it goes to pressure switch, and also I have tapped to this sediment filter. Okay, so this is the first step. So step 2, the output of sediment filter goes to the input of precarbon, as you can see here. So that's it. So step 3, the output of precarbon goes to solenoid valve here, as you can see, solenoid valve. Okay, so the output of the solenoid valve goes to the input of the booster pump. Step 4, output of the solenoid valve goes to the input of booster pump. Okay. In step 5, what I have done is I have connected the output of the booster pump to the input of the RO cartridge. So as you can see here, the RO cartridge has 2 outlets. Okay, so one outlet is for the RO filtered water and the other outlet is for reject water. Okay, so now what I have done is I have connected the RO outlet to the input of post carbon filter. Okay, this polishes the water actually. So actually pre-carbon filter absorbs all the smells, odors, actually that if at all something is dissolved in water, so all those things the pre-carbon filter would absorb. The post-carbon filter would polish the water. So this is, I think, step 6. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to step 7. So next step is, see, the output of the post carbon filter. So that goes to the inlet of mineral cartridge. Okay. So next step what I am going to do is the output of the mineral cartridge, that I am going to connect it to the inlet of UF cartridge. UF like this, and the output of the UF I am going to connect it to the inlet of UV. Okay, the outlet of UV I am going to let it to the tank. So that is how it is going to be. So now one other thing is, so as you can see, this is the UV choke that I am going to use. It's an 18 watt Philips choke, a very good one. Okay, so this works on 230 volts AC. So AC is connected here. So and the wires to the tube goes from here. Very simple. So as you can see, I have already made the wires here. Okay, so I will show you once I connect it. See, as you can see here, I have inserted the tube here. you can see here. So I've inserted the UV tube into the barrel. So see here, I'm connecting the wire, connector or whatever you call it, holder, whatever. Okay, so once it is done, what I can do is I can connect it like this. Okay, so even this side I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So as you can see here, I don't know whether you will be able to see it properly. So I have connected the choke, UV choke. So this side it is going to the two ends of the tube, and of course power supply comes from the AC. Okay, so as I already told you, so the output of the what do you call it, mineral cartridge goes to the UF. The output of the UF goes to input of the UV barrel. Output of the UV barrel goes to tank. Okay, so this is the final circuitry. So only thing that is left is I need to connect the float switch. So I will connect that also and show you. So I have also connected the float and the float switch. So fixing the float is very easy. Like you just need to insert and tighten the plastic nut. Okay, so once we do that, so then as you can see here, okay, so this is the float switch. So these are the two places where I have connected the connectors. Okay, so when the tank when the water level in the tank decreases, so these the switch connects these two wires. So these two wires are in series with the phase wire. So that is how this works. So almost everything is complete now. I just need to place this back on the tank and then right away test it. So finally we need to connect one more device. So that is called as flow restrictor. So it has to be connected to the drain pipe, like the drain outlet of the RO housing. So from that, whatever pipe comes, so we can connect it inside the what do you call cabinet itself, or we can connect it external to the cabinet. We can also connect a tap to this and probably drain out some water every 15 days or so that the RO membrane cleans itself. So that's one method of regularly cleaning the RO membrane and increasing its lifespan. So this flow restrictor actually comes with different values such as 350, 450, 550, 650 like that. So depending on what membrane you would be using, so accordingly the manufacturer would have specified the value of the flow restrictor. So accordingly you need to purchase it. Okay, so usually for home purposes, if it is regular river water, so 450 is the flow restrictor. So that's pretty much it. So finally, let me switch on the machine and show you that it's working. So it's switched on. So I've already tried it in this, like it's switched on and water is flowing perfectly. So the most important thing that you might be observing here is the brightness of the UV lamp. So as I've already told you, this particular choke, it gives better lifespan for the UV tube, and also the brightness of the UV lamp is good. That means like it should be working quite well to kill any bacteria that has escaped from the RO. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So finally I will close everything and show it to you. So here is the RO water filter after the completion of the annual maintenance, where I changed all the cartridges and I have tested it for any leakages. So I have also tested the filter so that it automatically switches off once the tank is full. That is, that the float switch is working fine. So other than that, one thing that I actually forgot is the TDS meter. So somewhere I have misplaced it. So because of which I could not show you what the TDS of the water before going to the filter is, and after the RO filtration what became the TDS of water. So TDS is total dissolved salts. Total dissolved salts that you would find in any water source. So usually river or lake water would have less TDS compared to groundwater. I'm talking about borewell water. So borewell water would have TDS somewhere between 1500 and 3000 or even 4000 sometimes. 4000 parts per million. So that is the unit that is used. So the recommended value is around different organizations actually specify different TDS values for consumption, but usually most of the bottled water that I have checked, they have a TDS of around 50. So I believe that 50 could be the standard because the more TDS the water would have, it would what do you call, the taste of the water changes. So basically it is much sweeter when the TDS is low. So okay, anyways, I usually try to keep it at 50, but sometimes even after adding the mineral cartridge, so it doesn't go beyond 30. So the only way that we can actually bring back the TDS is we have to bypass some amount of water from the section before the RO to the output stage of RO. So there the problem would be that it might also bypass some bacteria, viruses, and probably some harmful elements like lead, etc. So anyways, here is the completed version. So I hope this video was interesting, informative, and probably if you have some basic tools at home, you can even build a new one yourself, or a regular maintenance you can do it by yourself. So that's it for now. So if you like to receive notifications about my future videos, you can subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, please give a like. So thank you.